Hey, Marco, we got some big money
Yes.
flow we got to get into. We cover money
Yes.
flow a lot, actually.
Yeah.
But let's dive into what the flow is. For those who don't know, what is money flow? How do you read it? Because it's not that plain and simple. You got to do some digging here.
Well,
I-
right. So there's
Yes. Yes, Garrett.
yeah.
No. I wanted to rename this segment before you get into
Okay.
it.
Okay.
Instead of calling it Big Money Flow, I want you to call it What the Flow.
I like that.
Bye.
What is that?
Have a good day, everybody.
Garrett.
I'm out. That's my one contribution to the show today. Bye.
Hi, Garrett.
Wait, can we just keep Garrett's hand there and he just hand puppets the rest of the show? How dare you call it the
I threw Mark
Baldwin?
off. He's tilted. He's tilted. Got him.
Oh, no. All right. So, Garrett. All right. So, money flow. Well, let's start with the kinds of money flow there are, right? Because there are definitely people that like to go after things called sweepers, and these are people looking for quick moves, right? So I see somebody buying a bunch of Apple calls, I jump on board, they ride up 20 cents, and I sell them. Following these sweepers is more for day trading. You want to use that with VWAP and use money flow in VWAP, and when they line up, jump on board. But that's not really what I'm interested in. Then there's the standard for most large block institutional orders is they're almost always a hedge. So sometimes, most of the time, they're done with stock. So that would be called tied up. So that means if I buy 1,050 Delta calls, I simultaneously sell 50,000 shares. And so I'm basically trading at delta neutral. This is the way the market makers like it. Typically, when a trader is doing that, they already have the stock and they're just adding it to portfolio. It's a volatility play. It doesn't really give us anything that we jump on. Then there are orders called Delta 1. And Delta 1 is when you see, doesn't mean they're 100 Delta calls. What that means is that the calls or puts were done with straight action. So there's no underlying stock. The trader just wants the calls or wants the puts. And when we see a Delta 1 trade go up, those are the ones that get interested. I want them to be so what gets me excited is, one, it's a Delta 1 trade, meaning no stock, nothing. It's a straight play.
Mm-hmm.
Two, I want it to be a percentage of the order flow. So when someone buys 10,000 calls in a name like, I don't know, Tesla, is it important? Yes. But Tesla does so much volume throughout the day that 10,000 calls really is not that huge of an order. You pull up a name like, something that trades a little less, but you probably still have heard of, CSX. All right. So CSX, the railroad company, does about 5% of the daily volume of Tesla. So if I see somebody step in and want to buy 10,000 calls in a name like CSX in a Delta 1 trade, which is rare, then I know there's something up. That is the type of flow I usually like to jump on board. Now, they're not always right, but they're right more often than they're wrong, way more often than they're wrong. Sometimes I do everything I can to weed out the flow, and somebody still had a hidden axe to grind. They traded a Delta 1, but it actually was a hedge that they had hidden away. Sometimes that can trip up a trade like this, and that's when we lose. But for the most part, we can usually figure that out. The other piece that's important is opening or closing. So I want to make sure that, one, it's Delta 1. Two, it's a percentage of the order flow. And then three, finally, that it's an opening trade, meaning they're not buying back calls that they did in an overwrite. They are opening calls or opening puts that they're not closing puts that they had sold. So when I go through that process, then I'm ready to decide whether I want to trade this. Then it's time to get down into the chart, look at the stock itself, make some decisions on why, what to do, why, and how with that order flow.
Oh, so it's cool to hear the whole process that goes down here. Sounds like there's a lot, Thank goodness we have you. But that's why you say things like, oh, this one might be tied to stock, or oh, this is a close and roll, right? That's you like to see
Right.
new, yeah, you like to see
New.
new
I
action.
don't. I don't mind a close and roll if they're right. So what you will see is
Yeah.
that I get excited about is a trader was long some calls or puts, sells them at a massive profit, and then takes some of that money and buys more. Or what I really get excited is when they buy even more. So a trader sells 10,000 calls at $2 and then buys 20,000 calls for 75 cents. That is a trade that I get very, very excited about because you now have a trader that has a history. One of the things we used to know down the floor was, hey, this guy's usually smart. And so we would trade with that trader and then do 3 or 4 times as much as that trader for our own book to protect ourselves because we knew this trader was buying calls or puts because the stock was going to move in their direction.
Mark, after all of that information, chat is just
Mm-hmm.
saying how much they love your haircut.
I was in dire need. It was bad leaving. I got
It was,
Uh,
Mark's hair went feral.
yeah, it did.
We're
It
back.
did. But
Okay, so wait,
we're
Mark.
back.
So you look at the flow. All right, you look at the flow,
Mm-hmm.
but then once you like or dislike once you find some flow that you like, then you say you look at charts, you really get into it. How do you turn the flow into a trade?
Well, so here's the thing. These guys are stock traders. They're not option traders.
Mhm.
Most of these guys that
Okay.
are doing big delta one, they steer toward even strikes and standard months. They're not sitting there trying to optimize the best trade. The important thing is that these guys get the liquidity, get their trade done, and that too, they get it done at when they want it done. So they're about getting the trade up and getting the trade done. So they're not always looking for the most efficient trade. So they'll sometimes leave pennies, nickels, dimes on the table where they could have put on a better trade, but they aren't option traders; they're stock traders. So they just buy the
Mhm.
25 call or the 30 call because even numbers are pretty. They don't look at the 26s or the 28s that might trade in a name.
Mhm.
I know it sounds silly, but it's true. These even strikes draw more volume, and that tends to not be the trade that you want to make when you're putting one on. If you have the ability to get in and out, and as retail traders, that's one of the real advantages that we have is we're not getting in and out of 10,000 calls is work. Getting in and out of 3 contracts, that's something we all can do relatively easily and simply. And so we can trade the June 6s instead of the June 5s in AMC, or the uh, the June 31 calls in CSX instead of the 30s or the 32 and a halves. It really does give us a big advantage getting in and out because we're able to optimize the absolute best value. And
Mhm.
so when I get into a trade a nickel cheaper than I should, or where I'm getting a little bit of edge, that puts the trade at an advantage. Again, not every trade is going to win, but if you trade with some edge over and over again, uh, you're going to start racking up some pretty big wins, especially when you're
Sure.
on the back of some of these big traders. Last week, here's an example. Uh, in Inside Money Trader, I was long some puts in Paramount. Somebody who remained nameless reminded me it was earnings, and I was tied up. I said, "Yeah, we should probably close." The trader that I had piggybacked did not close, and the trader was paid very handsomely because on earnings, Paramount, PARA, got absolutely destroyed. It went from $22. We were long the $22 puts, and it closed on Thursday at $16.40. If I'd have hung on to my calls and like this trader did, my 80-cent options would have been worth about $7.
Mark, do you have any flow that we can get into today? Let's put it to action. We have a couple
Sure.
minutes.
Sure. American Airlines. Now, this one has had a nice little move, and this is also where you have to look at flow and see what's happening here.
Mhm.
Earlier in the day, we have a trader come in and pay buy 10,000 of the SEP 12 puts for 69 cents. A few minutes later, they pay 71 cents tied up to some stock. So that tells me that those SEPs that were done, naked, probably done with some stock as well. So we've got a whole host, 20, 30, what is that? 30,000 put options trading in September. Some done tied, some not done tied. There were 30,000 open on that. So these are set 12 puts, 30,000 open. They bought 30,000 of them on Friday. Stocks had a nice little rally. All right. These puts have been open for a very long time. So what do we probably have? We have a trader that is taking money off the table that probably sold these puts. So this is not something that I would jump on back of, but it is still interesting to see that somebody that was short puts is closing a position, because that means, hey, maybe I don't want to be short these puts anymore. So there's information to be taken, but this is not one that I'm going to be jumping all over. But I want to kind of share an example of some of the things I look at when I'm trading.
Yeah, this was fun, Mark. Thanks for digging
Coming
into
to a theater near you.
Oh my!
Money Flow, an explosive casino heist in the sky.
Wow. A minute.
money. Wait.
How did we not replace what's her face with Vaz's picture there?
I don't know. I think what's her face looks pretty good there.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Garrett, any response to that?
Because I don't have acrobat skills and I did this in 3 seconds. I did this while you were talking. This is why I focus on what I do. I am not going to be a graphic designer at any point in the future. Let's just rule that out.
Are you sure, Garrett? Because
Yes.
it looks like Mark is made in that photo. It's unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
I
love that I'm in with 2 WWE traders and Thomas Jane. Nothing. Who doesn't want to be in a movie with Edge from the WWE?
I'll do a buddy
Grammer's
cop
in it.
movie with them. Absolutely.
Did you write this?
Oh my god!
Money
All
Flow?
right, guys.
No, this movie, Money Plane.
Yeah.
I had to. Did you write that movie?
Money Plane is one of the worst written films I've ever watched in my lifetime. It's so bad.
Is it so bad
Right,
it's
did
good, or
you write
so
it?
bad it's just really bad?
No, it's bad, and honestly, don't watch the movie. Watch the review of that movie on Red Letter Media. It's amazing. Bye, everybody.
Awesome.
Hi,
All right,
everybody.
bye, Garrett. Bye, Mark.